Hi guys, Jasmo here, and today I'm going to talk about a 1C unique belt which I've been using to double and even triple my damage in maps. It's an incredible belt that costs 1C and almost nobody is using it, but when built properly, it is the closest thing you can get to a headhunter for that price. I'm talking about Soulthirst. Soulthirst is a unique belt which gives you a good amount of life and resistances on top of its unique modifier, which grants you Soul Eater during any Flask effect. It also reduces the Flask duration by 20% and removes your Soul Eater stacks whenever you use the Flask. So Soul Eater is a buff that grants you 5% attack speed and cast speed whenever you kill an enemy, and it stacks indefinitely, which means the longer you can keep the buff, the stronger it becomes. Just to give you an idea, it is very easy to get 100 stacks, which equals 500% increased attack speed and cast speed, and with good setup and mob density, reaching 200 stacks and 1000% increased attack and cast speed is not even too hard, and you might catch some moments in the background footage when that happens. So let's talk about the mechanic first. Whenever you activate a Flask, you will gain the Soul Eater buff, but also lose all of the previous stacks. This means that ideally you want to pop all of your Flasks, starting with the longest duration one, and then wait with using any Flasks until the first one expires. This way you're ensuring the longest Soul Eater buff. Whenever you take a big amount of damage and need to use a life Flask, you will reset your Soul Eater stacks back to 0, which of course is better than dying, but try to avoid any unnecessary Flask activations while you have the buff running. The builds that would want to use this belt are builds that focus on mapping and scale well with attack and cast speed. This means that builds like Corrupting Fever or Blade Vortex will not work very well with it, but builds like Toxic Rain, Brands, poison attack builds, even stuff like Winter Orb, and also builds which use Shield Charge for mobility, which can get absolutely stupid movement speed due to the attack speed scaling it. All of those builds will work very well with it. So let's go over the setup for maximum Flask duration and the Soul Eater uptime. First of all, you want to start with the longest base duration Flask. So ideally you'd use 4 or 5 utility Flasks with 8-second base duration. Those are, for example, Ruby, Topaz, Sapphire, the Basalt, Stibnite, and Sulfur Flasks. So make sure that they are at least level 84 so that you can roll the T1 increased duration, which goes up to 40% increased duration. Next, you want to get them all to 28% quality, which can be done with T4 Hillock in a Research Safe House, which means he has to be rank 3 in Research and you have to do the Mastermind fight. And you can also buy the bench from other players on the TFT Discord and get it done quicker. After that, you want to use the Enkindling Orb to roll increased duration enchant, which goes up to 100% increased duration. You should settle for a lower roll at first because it takes quite a few Enkindling Orbs to get it as high as 100 or 99%. And that's it when it comes to Flasks. So let's look at the passive skill tree, which is the second place where you scale the duration. Ideally, you want to be somewhere at the bottom between the Ranger and the Duelist area, which happen to be two very popular classes right now, and here you will find Flask duration nodes which I recommend taking. You can also pick up or anoint the Druidic Rite for an additional 20% increased Flask duration, and beyond that we can stack medium cluster jewels with Flask effect duration. You can choose how many passives you want to go for, but for maximum duration you'd go for 6 passives and you want to roll on it 35% increase effect of small passives rolled on them, as well as Distilled Perfection Notable, which gives you 10% increased Flask effect duration. You can also use the Special Reserve Notable because regen is very valuable and it might save you from having to use a life Flask. So all of those things combined with 2 medium clusters set up, it can give you more than 45-second Flask duration, which is absolutely insane. My Flasks are currently at 41 seconds and it's absolutely crazy the amount of stacks I can get. So now you're going to be getting insane amount of attack speed or cast speed, which means that you might not have enough mana to support casting or attacking this fast, so make sure to grab minus mana cost on jewelry. You can grab a Replica Conqueror's Efficiency for minus mana cost, and also a Watcher's Eye with minus mana cost while affected by Clarity. And for some characters this will not be needed, but if you're playing Toxic Rain like me, for example, it is definitely worth doing, because once you get the Soul Eater, you get like more than 100 stacks and your character just turns into a machine gun. It just goes just cranking up Toxic Rain everywhere, covering the entire universe in toxic toxic pods, and even your Mirage Archer scales with it. So sometimes when you run through the maps, like Mirage Archer just goes just like a turret above you, just spamming toxic rains everywhere. And with the Focus Ballistas, with the Wither, you will literally get 15 Wither stacks in half a second on like Beyond bosses and stuff like that. So now for a little bonus, I'm gonna share with you another 1C unique that will drastically increase your clear speed. It's absolutely broken and it's weird that more people aren't using it, and that is the Sinvicta's Medal. It's a unique axe which gives you Rampage on kill, and the best thing about it is that you don't need to have it equipped for the Rampage to keep going. So for example with Toxic Rain, I have the axe in my weapon swap, and I simply shoot out a few Toxic Rain pods at the start of the map, press X to swap to the axe, and then after like 1 second, at least one enemy dies, I swap back to the bow and continue mapping. But the Rampage from the axe keeps going, and you get full benefit of it without having to actually use it, as long as you have some kind of a lingering effect that can help you kill enemies while you have the weapon swapped. So Rampage gives you a huge amount of movement speed, it gives you movement speed per stack, it gives you increased damage per stack, as well as crazy chaining explosions, animated weapons that kill stuff for you, corpse explosions, piercing projectile novas. There is no reason to not use it because the upside is just way too big. It doesn't cost you anything, and it gives you just a massive amount of clear speed to your build, and just feels super satisfying when these like chaining corpse explosions are happening. So hopefully this video helps you out with two amazing budget options, especially if you're like struggling, if you're trying to make currency. You should definitely consider these items. They will not help you kill bosses that are not in maps, but when it comes to mapping, they provide a crazy disproportionate amount of power compared to their low price, and a lot of different builds can take advantage of them. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe and like the video, and see you next time. Bye bye.